Hello, I'm still Jeremy, and this is my drone. It's a DJI Mini 3. I've had it for a couple years, and I have never flown it in Japan, because to fly in Japan you have to have your drone registered, and it seemed like a whole complicated process, and I never did it. Well, finally, recently, I did it. This video is not like my regular videos. It's not a travel video per se, but I'm going to be using this drone on my upcoming big train trip across Honshu Island in Japan. So this is part of the preparations for that trip. So I wanted to mark what happened when I went through the whole process of registering this drone. So I will warn you, this video gets a little bit kind of in the weeds, kind of detailed about all of the technical problems and everything that kept happening along the way, but that is the point. I promise there is a payoff at the end, but that's the point, is what I had to go through to get this thing registered, and it should have been a smooth process, but it wasn't really. But this is what you have to deal with when you want to get stuff done in the modern world. For drones under 250 grams, you don't need a license or a certification in Japan, but you do have to register the drone to fly it legally. I wanted to register my drone, and no part of the process was smooth in any way, and there's plenty of blame to go around. You register your drone with the MLIT, the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism. Drone stuff specifically is done through DIPS, or Drone UAS Information Platform System. UAS is Unmanned Aircraft Systems, a fancy term for drones. All the information in this video is true, as far as I know, as of mid-2026. They have an English version of the website, which is hit and miss as far as understandability is concerned, but it's better than nothing, certainly. I'm an American citizen, but a resident of, not a visitor to, Japan, and that's an important distinction, as I would find out. I created an MLIT account on DIPS with my address in Japan, my name rendered in Japanese, phone number, and email. The account was opened. I immediately needed to log in, but when I tried, I got an error. Your account is locked, probably because no account matches the entered information, or you entered a wrong password the specified number of times. Try again, correcting the entered contents, or retry after 30 minutes. The first of many hurdles in this process. I checked my email and there was a new one from MLIT. It was written in Japanese, but there was an English translation at the bottom, which was a relief. My Japanese is spotty at best, and I certainly wouldn't know complicated official terms about drone registration, and definitely not the kanji for those terms. Anyway, there was no confirmation URL to click like you might expect, but there was something called the login ID, so you don't use your email address to log in. I tried that ID with the password I just created, and it worked. There are several options on the webpage, including a little flowchart explaining what I needed to do: application, payment, issuance of registration ID, writing in remote ID equipment, etc. Also some information about certification, but my drone is small enough that I don't need that. I clicked New Registration. First, you have to explain and prove who you are. If you are a foreigner visiting Japan, select Passport EKYC. I'm not visiting, so I chose the My Number card option. My Number is like a national ID card for people in Japan, a new system they just started a few years ago. I have one, but was confused by the text under that option. Those who have an IC card reader and an NFC-compatible smartphone should select IC card reader authentication and 2D barcode authentication, respectively, and press the Next button. As the fee for the application, you have to pay 900 yen per UA that is applied for. In identity verification using the individual number card, use Mina Portal AP. If you have not installed Mina Portal AP, confirm the procedure to install Mina Portal AP. I guess that refers to some app. Mina is an abbreviation of My Number. So it looked like I'd have to do that, which as a non-app installer when I can help it was pretty annoying. But then I realized that I only have a paper My Number card, the type they first issued everyone several years ago. You can have them send you a plastic one with a chip inside, but I haven't. So lacking that, I couldn't use the My Number card at all to register my drone. Another option is driver's license, but only if it was issued in Japan. I don't have that either. The passport option was pre-selected, I guess because I'm on the English page. It says, if you are a foreigner visiting Japan, select this. I'm not, but the other options seemed even worse, so I clicked OK and it showed me a QR code. With my iPhone, I scanned the QR code from my MacBook screen and it took me to another DIPS page. Verify the person with an ID and your face photo taking. Usage flow, ID capture, shooting selfie. I found my passport and took 2 photos of the ID page as instructed. One straight on, another straight on, but with the other page half visible and at a certain angle. Next, I had to hold my smartphone vertically and shoot my face. No masks, no bangs, no glasses. I even tried to smile a little bit. Of course, in the final image, somehow my smile was gone. Oh well, so much for my modeling career. I submitted all that and went back to the DIPS website on my laptop. The waiting screen went away by itself, and I saw that I needed to upload a second ID. Upload a file of an identification document that shows the name and address and birthday, international driver's license of the home country, etc. Aha! I found my American driver's license, took a photo of it with my phone, sent it to the laptop, cropped it and reduced the file size, and uploaded that to the DIPS website. All done, so I clicked enter the UA information. Manufactured or amateur built. Input UA manufacturer name, UA model, UA category, and UA serial number without fail. If those are incorrect, you shall make an application again. Call its manufacturer if you cannot find those information. So mine is DJI and DJI Mini 3, and there's an annoyingly long serial number printed in a 5 nanometer high font on the drone box. It asked about remote ID. Keep in mind that I am new to drones and don't know what any of this means. I asked ChatGPT and it said that my drone has it, so I selected yes, built in. And I haven't altered my drone. Maybe I should. Add some cool decals and some streaming ribbons or something, but I haven't so far. Enter the user information. Owner is the same as the user. Confirm the entered information. There was a final confirmation screen about all the info about me and about the drone. It all looked good, so I clicked apply for registration and was told to wait for an email. It came within a couple minutes. It contained a confirmation URL to click to make sure the person at this email really was submitting an application, so I clicked it. And that took me back to the DIPS website, which said to await an email about payment. If only it were that simple. A few minutes later I got an email, but instead of payment info it said there had been a problem. An application arrived, but it could not be received, for the following reason. The corresponding airframe is in the middle of another application procedure. A year or two ago, I had looked into registering this airframe, but I hadn't gotten very far. Apparently, I'd gotten farther than I remembered, though, because there was an apparently still outstanding application for it, but under some old MLIT account that I'd made back then. I logged out of DIPS and tried to log back in to see if my browser had any old login credentials. It didn't. So I searched my old email account for the Japanese word for drone, and saw some MLIT emails from August 2024. One of them had an old login ID. I pasted that into the DIPS login screen and clicked forgot my password, but got an error. I went back and left the login ID field blank, again clicked forgot my password, and that was the trick. No error. I had to enter a bunch of info, name, phone number, email, just to reset the password. I clicked initialize and waited for an email. It too came quickly, within a minute. This email contained an initialized password, which I pasted into a form on DIPS, along with a brand new actual password to use generated by my browser. Success. Until I tried to log in again. The browser, Safari, hadn't saved that password, and I hadn't made a note of it. So I had to click forgot my password again, get a new initialized password from an email, and generate yet another new password, which I made sure to copy elsewhere this time. Using this new password, I was able to log in to my 2-year-old account I had completely forgotten about. Now I needed to figure out exactly what to do with the old application. I didn't want to use this old email address at all, so hopefully there would be a way to cancel the application and do everything with my new account I just created an hour ago. I clicked a link called Confirm Change the Account, which led to a Japanese-only page. I translated bits of it with preview on my Mac, and one option was check the application status for new registrations and changes and withdraw the application. The others were change the owner info, device info, blah blah blah. The old application was there, August 2024. I found a button labeled withdraw and clicked it. I confirmed that I wanted to withdraw on the next screen and it said it was done. Got an email a few minutes later, the application drop, which I hoped meant the withdrawal, was complete. Great. I logged out and logged back in under my new Today account, and I restarted the entire registration process. Another QR code, another 2 scans of the passport, another selfie, carefully cropping Ray Charles out. Oops, Ray is still there after all. Try again. Uploaded the scan of my American driver's license again, clicked all the OK buttons, clicked the yes, this is really me link in an email, and once again it said, OK, wait for the payment information. A few minutes later, the actual email I got was not about payment. It just said, it may take time to complete the confirmation of the application contents, which you should note. I hadn't seen that before, so it was a good sign. I noted it. So all of this was on a Friday, and I worried that the office was going to be closed all weekend, and so I wouldn't be able to continue this process until next week. Bad timing on my part. But no, Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. came a new email. Not a good one. A deficiency in the application contents was found. This time the English section of the email let me down. The key details of this mysterious deficiency were all in Japanese. I used Google Translate on it. Address doesn't match. If you reside in Japan, please reapply using a document issued by a government agency that includes your name, current address, and date of birth, e.g., residence card, my number card, Japanese driver's license. They'd told me originally to use a foreign driver's license, but didn't mention that the address had to match what I entered as a Japanese resident. But I do have a residence card with my Japanese address on it. Back to square one. Maybe square two. I found the application on Dips, clicked reapply, and clicked correct the owner. Took a photo of my residence card, cropped it and reduced the size, and uploaded it in place of my American driver's license. Got the email to confirm whether or not I was really applying, yes. Then the wait for another email came again. And that was Saturday, day 2. The next morning, Sunday at about 9:30, an email came. Good news. The payment amount, 1,450 yen, about $9 US, and some various numbers and codes. I went to the Dips website and there was now a payment button. Clicking it brought up a window with only one option, please pay by credit card. I don't have a Japanese credit card, so I used my American Visa card. It didn't work. Okay, this is an old problem for us expatriates, not MLIT's fault at all. Trying to use an American-issued Visa credit card to buy things online usually results in an error. It has been a problem for years. I call the number from the error screen, which is Visa, and they shrug and say, I don't know, call your bank. I call my bank and after infinity minutes connect with a live person who says, oh yeah, I see you tried to buy something today. I need to send you a code to your phone. What's your number? I say, I only have a Japanese phone number, and they just crumble. They can't understand, literally, the concept of not having an American phone number. And amazingly, in the 21st century, they can't text a code to a Japanese telephone number. They won't email it to me. They won't let me do anything in the bank's app. I have to beg or ask to speak to a supervisor, who will sometimes take the hold off the card so I can use it, but only for an hour or so. I've asked them to remove the hold permanently, and they just stammer and cough and refuse to do it. And no other options for Americans living abroad to easily use a credit card, at least not a Visa. I've heard MasterCard doesn't have this problem. I apologize for ranting about this, but it's just so mind-numbingly frustrating that every time I think of it, I get all upset all over again. Anyway, back to the drone. Remember the drone? Credit card payment wasn't going to work. I looked through the FAQ page on the Dips website and kept seeing references to something called PayEasy. I'd never heard of it. I'm an analog guy and I prefer cash, which is still very much a thing in Japan. But it said if you have the right code numbers, you can use an ATM to pay for stuff. So I went out and found an ATM. Turns out that you can't just walk into some ATM and use PayEasy. You have to do it at an ATM of a bank you have an account with. Fortunately, I did have an account here. I saw the PayEasy button, and I changed to English to make it easier on me. But the English menu didn't include the PayEasy button. So Japanese it was. I entered my numbers and verified the amount several times. And it went through, and I got a receipt. Back home, I had a new email. Ominously, it didn't mention the payment specifically, but it did say that my application was in the process of approval, and when approved, you will be notified of the completion of the procedure by email. Sounded promising. And that was Sunday. Tuesday morning, I saw that the previous evening I had received a new email. The whole new registration procedure has been completed. For details of the application contents and the registration ID, go to Dips. And to fly an unmanned aircraft, it is necessary to display the registration ID. Be sure to display the registration ID. My ID itself, the whole thing I've been needing all this time, was on the Dips website. I scanned the FAQ about exactly what to do with it. It seemed that you could physically write it or label it on the drone, and you could register it electronically. but it was unclear if either would do, or if one or the other was optional and the other one was required, or if both were required, or what. Some more research seemed to indicate that both were required, so I wrote the code on a sticker and put it on the drone, hopefully in a place that won't interfere with flying. And I had to use the DJI Fly app, already on my phone from when I flew this drone a couple years earlier in the US, to send the ID electronically, and so a whole new can of worms was opened. The app said no devices found. I logged into my DJI account, but that wasn't enough. I had to actually turn the drone on, so sitting on my bed indoors, I did that and connected the phone up and everything as if I were going to fly. In some obscure menu, I finally found UAS registration number import. I clicked it and got a white screen for several minutes, but then something came on it. And rather than just entering my ID number, I had to have it officially transferred from DIPS to the app. It asked for my login and password for DIPS, which I entered and clicked agree and cooperate. That gave me an error. For old time's sake, your account is locked because... I tried again and got the same result. Then I saw that I was using the wrong password and all the confusion about that last Friday. So I put the correct one in, and this time when I clicked agree and cooperate, there was no error. There was nothing. It just froze on that screen. I waited. After several minutes, the screen went blank. Was this progress? A few minutes later, it said no network connection. I checked and the phone's Wi-Fi connection was fine, like it always is in this room. I tried it all again, and again it took ages and ultimately didn't work. So I restarted the DJI Fly app and poked around in it some more until I saw a message that my drone is already bound to another account. That's my sister's email. She originally bought the drone and showed me how to fly it 2 years ago, and I can't unbind it, whatever that is. She'd have to. I contacted her in the US and told her to see if she could unbind this drone from her account. And that was Tuesday. Wednesday, I hadn't heard back from my sister, but realized that the binding issue was probably not related to my DIPS problem because DIPS wouldn't know anything about people's DJI accounts anyway. So I tried importing the ID again and had all the same problems. A bogus no network error, white screens, blue progress bars that never quite reached the end, etc. Running out of options, I updated the DJI Fly app itself, and then I checked for firmware updates for the controller and the drone. I was eventually asked to log into DIPS again, and this time I clicked the privacy policy and scrolled to the end. There was no checkbox to indicate that I agreed and had read it all, but when I clicked agree and cooperate this time, it logged me in. And, amazingly, immediately it said obtaining registration number, and then finally the magic phrase, imported successfully. So it's official, the drone is registered. When I fly it, it will send out its secret government ID if asked. I tried to fly it, or at least hover it a bit, just to test it out, but it refused to take off because the conditions weren't safe. Fair enough. And soon I got a final email. Registration of remote ID information to the remote ID device is complete. My sister wasn't able to unbind the drone from her account, but I'll leave that for another time and hope it doesn't become a problem. So apparently we are good. I'm going to be taking this out right now as I'm recording this video. There is a typhoon coming, and so we have a few days of rain and hopefully nothing else. Hopefully the trains will be okay so I can start this trip, but I can't take it outside right now and actually test it. So I think it will work, and I think the upcoming trip will have some drone footage in it, and I've been wanting to do this for so long. I'm glad I finally got it done. Weird as the process was, it all worked out in the end. So thanks for watching, and look for some drone shots in my upcoming videos if all goes well. Thanks to all my patrons, and special thanks in random order to Samantha, Ray Nichols, Will Phillips, Matt Kane, David Richley, Russell Davis, and Thomas G. Ritchie. Thanks for watching. Everywhere is worth exploring. After the typhoon.